Hi, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Still Learning podcast. I'm so happy you're here, and I'm so happy that you came back. I'm really excited to dive into this episode, guys, and this is definitely an episode for all my note takers. I mean, pen and paper needs to be ready, guys, because we're going to be talking about all the things that I've learned in 2024. And I'm not gonna lie, 2024, these lessons had read me to filth. They have enlightened me. They have definitely checked me. But these lessons have also been so good for me and so good in helping me grow and mature and further step into myself. And so I hope that just as they have blessed me, they will bless you guys. And let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back. I am really excited about this episode. I literally want to just jump right into it. This episode in particular, we're going to be diving into the lessons that God has taught me throughout the year of 2024 as we're coming to the end of one year and entering a new year. And I started doing this at the end of 2022, I believe, the last day of 2022. I just was like, you know what, let me just sit back, reflect, and think about all the things I learned this year. And that was just so insightful. And it really helped me to see how much you can change in a year and how much you develop and grow, and all the experiences that you accumulate during that time really shapes who you are. And so every year I started doing that. And so in 2023, I did that, and I accumulated a way longer list than I did the year 2022. And carrying on that same tradition and just throughout the year now, instead of just waiting till the last day of the year, I write out all the lessons I've learned in the process. So in the process of the year, throughout the time of the year, I write out all these lessons, and truly, guys, they are so good. When I write them down, sometimes I'm like, oh, this would be so great for someone else. I love sharing them. Sometimes I'll sit down with my friends and be like, oh my gosh, listen to what I just learned so far, and it would resonate with them. And so I thought, what not a better space to be able to go through all of these lessons, recap them, reflect on them, speak about kind of what space I was in during the time I wrote that lesson, what was going on in my life during that time that led to me learning this lesson. And so I thought, what better place to talk about it than here? And some of these lessons, I haven't really looked back on them or reflecting on them in a while, because I typically write them monthly. So I'll be like, this is the month of January, this is the month of February. And so some of these lessons might just snatch me up once again when I go back on them. So I'm definitely going to try to control my reactions and my screens, because you guys are sure gonna learn that I'm very much someone who reacts. If something shocking happens, I actually gasp. A full-on gasp will come out of my mouth. I would be shook. I could be a little dramatic like that sometimes. But I'm really excited to dive in and share with you guys what I learned. And so, okay, let's do it. So originally I was gonna highlight the ones that I specifically wanted to talk about in this episode throughout all the months, but then as I was going through it, I was just kind of you know what, I'm just gonna freestyle this, spitball. And so I'm just gonna go through it with you guys so you guys can kind of get my real time reactions. Nothing is being prepped or planned for this, very organic as possible. I'm pulling up my list, guys, and literally the note is titled What God Has Taught Me 2024, in parentheses, pellets of gold. And so starting off in the month of January, the first point is, you entered a new year but had the same God. Point with me was more so I was just oh my gosh, a new year. I have no idea what to expect. I'm both excited, but I'm is this gonna be a good year? What's gonna happen? Is it gonna be a difficult year? I really had no idea what was gonna come out of the year 2024. But I was you know what? Even though I'm gonna experience different things, a lot of uncertainty may come through this year, I still have the same God. He doesn't change. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. So I really found that really encouraging to just kind of start off top of my year and just really be you know what? I'm secure because He's the same. And so that one was really good for me just to remember. Then the next one, now this one, I said, wow, it was it has expired. The job has expired. The relationship has expired. That opportunity has expired. That mindset has expired. Therefore, stop trying to make good out of things that have spoiled. Sit with that. When I tell you guys, when I wrote down that lesson, I said, oh, I was like, I didn't realize. Sometimes I forget that things have expiration dates. And the fact is, when you're not aware of an expiration date, you can be consuming things, right, that will end up making you sick because you didn't check the expiration. Like, you know when milk spoils. If you drink that spoiled milk, you're done. You're done. You're definitely getting sick. And it just made me think, what are the things in my life, the ideas, the relationships, the opportunities that have expired that I'm still engaging in and have the ability to actually make me ill? Oh, okay, let me check that, God. Because it seems like I'm trying to make good out of things that have already gone spoiled. So what I should actually be doing is getting rid of them. Oh, in terms of self-control, you guys are probably going to get in this episode, and maybe I'll cut it out, but you guys are going to get a lot of like my unhinged, unfiltered thoughts. Like it's just going to be flowing through it. And you know what? That's okay. We're going to vibe with it. The next point was very insightful for me and eye-opening for me, which was do not have godly expectations for worldly people. And by that, I realized that I started holding people in my life to a standard that, we would hold like people in the Christian faith to standard, but the people who I was holding this standard to hadn't committed their lives to like Jesus Christ. They haven't declared him as their Lord and Savior. So it's not fair for me to hold them to a standard and expectation that quite literally doesn't apply to them. Like it's just not fair. Like how would they understand or be able to live this out when this is not a commitment they made in their life? And so it's really like me being able to understand that I shouldn't have expectations for people that only God can do. Like what I mean by that is like I should not expect people to be there for me 100% of the time. Like my friends, my family, my loved ones, like I should not expect them to be there 100% of the time, be able to drop everything and be there for like that is completely irrational, and I would not want someone to expect that of me. It's like they can't do that. They're only a person. They're a human being. Like I can expect them to never have flaws and make mistakes and do things that can hurt me. Like I should not expect them to be perfect because it's quite literally impossible. And I wouldn't want someone else to hold me to that same expectation and standard. So it was just me being aware of that and me becoming more aware that I was able to show more grace to the people in my life and also to myself, and recognizing that we are human and that the person who I actually should be going to is God. All right. The next point is everything's not falling apart. Everything is falling into place. And I definitely think that this year my mind had like a shift, like my perception and perspective of things. And I really soon came to understand like the power of your mind. Like it really is like how you see things, your perspective on something will really shape how you engage with certain situations and circumstances, how you handle them. Like mind matters in me understanding that. And so it was me being like, things aren't working out. Like that friendship didn't work out, or that job opportunity didn't work out, or that plan didn't work out. And it's me being like, it didn't work out. Maybe it's good that it didn't work out, right? Maybe it's not the fact that everything's falling apart for me, but everything's falling into place for me. And so what's actually happening is that all the things that aren't working out for me, it's actually good. So the things that are meant for me are being worked out for me. That shift in my perspective of things generally allow me to be more appreciative and more grateful for when things don't work out, knowing that something else is working out for me. So going into February, so this was actually something that I learned in my therapy session that my therapist taught me. And yes, everyone needs therapy. Please get therapy. Get help. If you think you don't have trauma, you have trauma. Okay? If you have simply been born into this world, you need therapy. Anyway, what I learned, hard does not determine capacity and a challenge does not mean inability. I had to sit with that because I was like, wait, let me write that down, because just because something is hard, it doesn't mean that you are incapable of doing it. Because something's a challenge doesn't mean you're not able to overcome that challenge. And again, it was a matter of perspective, because I feel like sometimes when we face difficult situations, we might be more willing to think that we're not capable of handling it. So we won't even attempt, right? We won't even make an effort. We won't even try. But really, if we face those challenges head on and we acknowledge that, yes, this is a challenge, yes, this is hard, but it's also something that I am capable of overcoming, and that this isn't outside of myself, but maybe this is exactly within my means, right? That pushing yourself past your limit. Because honestly, when we push ourselves past our limits, I don't really think we're pushing ourselves past our limits necessarily, but we're actually pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone so that we are actually able to test our limits, if that makes sense. Yes, this is hard, but if I allow myself to tackle the hard things, what I'm doing is pushing myself out of my place of comfort, out of the things that I'm used to handling, out of the things that are like easy to me now. And I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone and actually testing my limits, right? Like I'm not pushing past my limits, but I'm actually able to test and see, is this something that I'm limited in or actually something that is within my limits? And so that was really great. And my therapist ate with that. Love you. So this next point might snatch some of my church going folk. Oh, and it's not meant to. It really isn't. But it's sometimes your servitude is an excuse to run away. And what I mean by that is that sometimes, like, okay, for example, God called me into nursing, right? That's what I should be doing, right? That's the career that He's called me to go ahead and help people. We love that. But imagine all I'm ever doing is just focusing on that, right? Like I'm getting all, like making sure I'm getting everything done, studying, like all the things for nursing, like my sole focus. But I'm also neglecting the other things God has called me to, like my relationships, like, you know, my relationship with Him, like, or whether that's even like something like starting this podcast, like just avoiding it, but then going to God, like, God, but what do you mean? Like, I'm serving you. You called me to nursing. Like, I'm serving in this area, but it's really an excuse for me to run away from the other things He has also called me to and to steward and to pour my time into. And that can be for any reason why you're running away, whether that task can be daunting, whether it's going to take another piece of yourself or require a level of vulnerability or openness, or maybe it's going to require you have to change a thing, shift some things around in your life. But you know, we go to that and be like, but God, I'm serving you, right? Aren't I doing the thing you called me to do? You said for me to do. But it's definitely kind of like, you know, understanding and being able to discern when what we're doing, if we call it serving God, when really it's us running away from God. So we're going to move along into the month of March. And the first point in the month of March is the devil knows how good God is. It's why he doesn't want you to know how good God is. And I was like, huh? The devil actually knows God. I don't know why sometimes I forget that. I'm like, wait, like he was actually like in heaven, like an angel, like before he became Satan, he was Lucifer. You know, like he actually had like a life before that. Like he actually knew God, was with him, chilling with him. Like he actually knew this man. Of course, the devil knows how good God is, and because he knows how good God is, it would make only sense that he would stop us from ever knowing how good God is for ourselves. Because if we did know how good God is, we would, of course, we would want to enter a relationship with Him and serve Him and want to know Him and have, you know, all the things that He's called for us to receive. But if I never know how good God is, if I never know how faithful He is, how caring, how thoughtful He is, if I never experience His love, I'm never going to go to Him. And I was like, wow, never thought of it from that perspective, but that one ain't. So this point really spoke to me, a reformed people pleaser here. And it was forgiveness does not equate to foolishness. As a reformed people pleaser, I used to think that if I forgave you, that means you can come back in my life and hold the same place you had in my life. Does that make sense? Like, let's say we were best friends, but you like really hurt me. You said some things that really like impacted me, but I forgive you for them. And then I let you come back in my life and everything should be good. Everything should be the same again. And sometimes that can be the case, but it was also me understanding that, you know what, actually sometimes forgiving someone doesn't mean they have to be in your life the way they were before. Like sometimes it's actually more wise and actually better to allow that relationship to shift or change in a way that's going to be healthy for not just you, but also for them. And I think that point was just on maturity. I'm not gonna lie. Like that one was like, wow, this is what maturing looks like. So this point next was, I believe I was reading about like Abraham and like when God told him to go in the book of Genesis. And I wrote down this point, which was like, in order for you to go somewhere, you have to leave somewhere else. Like, in order for Abraham to go and be able to like walk out the covenant that God was making with him in the generations to come, like, he had to leave his father's household. He had to leave everything he knew behind. And I'm sure that required a great sacrifice, right? And it made me just realize that when God is calling you to go somewhere, whether that's to a new city or to a new job or to whatever it may be, you do have to leave something behind. And there is sacrifice in that. And the go can be so exciting, but we also have to acknowledge the sacrifice that comes in the leaving. And I think sometimes that's what can actually hold us back from going, because we don't want to let go of what we're going to have to leave behind. And so for me, that was really eye-opening, because sometimes like I can be afraid of like entering new spaces or like going to a new city or anything like that, because like who I'm gonna have to leave behind, whether that's me leaving behind my comfortability, whether that's me leaving behind like my family, my friends, the people who I've grown to really love and care about. It can be really daunting just packing up everything and starting anew, even though what I'm going into is going to be so much greater for me than what I'm currently in. It can be really hard to recognize that when you're so comfortable in where you are at now. It was really me again. And I feel like throughout the year of 2024, I continuously was learning how comfortability can often be something that works against us and not for us. And that sometimes when we're too comfortable, we're actually limiting what we can do and the prospects ahead of us. And we can end up settling too when we're too comfortable. And so the importance of becoming comfortable, being uncomfortable, because it's in spaces of uncomfortability where you experience growth and where you're able to learn and mature. Like, it's really in those spaces where you're actually becoming better than in places where you're most comfortable, where you're not being challenged, where nothing is forcing you or nothing is bringing you to a place where you have to really think beyond yourself, and where you have to learn how to do things like heal and grow and forgive and like understand other people and communicate, right? And so that one was really good. And it was just, again, a major lesson I feel like I've been learning throughout the year 2024. Okay, guys, I realize we're still in the month of March. We have like 9 more months to get through. And so I'm just kind of gonna speed through these last couple points in the month of March, because they are actually so good. And like, I can't skip over them. I can't bypass them. If you don't make room for clarity, confusion will cloud your judgment. Next one. You don't need people to acknowledge what God has put inside of you to confidently walk in it. What things were are not always what they'll be and what they will become. I can take the time to understand people because God took the time to understand me. You can either bloom where you're planted or sprout weeds. And then the last point, it's not about if you have the ability to sacrifice, but what will you sacrifice and who will you sacrifice for? And I'm just going to leave it on that note. I was tempted to expand at some points, but just the time, we don't have the time right now, but write those down, guys, because too good, too good. So going into the month of April, this point right here, guys, I'm still I'm still like, God can open doors, but you have to do your part and walk through them. You know how the Bible says sit at the feet of Jesus, right? You know, sometimes I catch myself trying to stand at the feet of Jesus, and then the Lord deposits things like this into my, like, the Holy Spirit reveals these things to me and teaches me these things, and then I sit right back down and I'm like, I'm sat, because I don't know why I ever thought that I could stand up here. Like, sat. You keep asking for an open door. The door is open. You just need to walk through it. Oh, right. You're getting mad at God. You're like, God, like, you say you open doors. I'm waiting for the door to be open. And God is like, the door is open. I'm just waiting for you to walk through it. Oh, my bad. Sat right back down. Okay? Ooh, this one here. This one right here, guys. Never regret being the best version of yourself just because someone else wasn't the best version of themselves. Sit with that one. Never regret being the best version of yourself because someone else wasn't the best version of themselves. All right. Again, I'm telling you guys, like, these were like life-changing lessons for someone who is a reformed people pleaser. I was like, wow, wow, you're so right. Why am I apologizing for being better? Like the better version of myself. Wow. I'm apologizing because I have more self-worth, more self-respect. I'm trying to communicate better. I'm trying to be more understanding and compassionate. And because you are not used to that version of myself, you're used to a version of myself that actually wasn't the best version of me and conducive to my growth. And so now it's a problem. And so now it's causing issues within our relationship. So I'm apologizing because I'm becoming better, but in me becoming better, you're still the same. Let's move on. Okay, moving on to the month of May. Now, this point here actually came from me watching In the Basement by Tim Ross. Definitely recommend if you haven't listened to it before. It's a really good podcast. It says that your hands are open both when you receive something and when you surrender something. That posture of your hands being open. Your hands has to be open both when you receive something and when you surrender something. And that made me be like, you know what? I want my hands to be in a constant posture of being open to God. So not only can I constantly be in a position to receive from Him, but I'm also constantly in a position to surrender to Him. A lot of these lessons throughout this year has also just been in me learning how to better my relationship with people and the people in my life, and also people who I will come to know and enter my life. So this next point was how communication is meant to better understand one another, not offend one another. So really taking the opportunity to communicate with people, to listen to them and understand where they're coming from, and not using it as an opportunity to tear them down or to make it about yourself or to offend them and make them feel like this terrible person, right? But really a place where we come to again recognize that we're all human, that we make mistakes, and being open to relationships changing, dynamics changing. Like maybe you were best friends, but now we're acquaintances. You know, maybe I can tell you this, but I learned now that I can't tell you this. Like really just having like healthy boundaries in your relationships and how you deal with things with people, but communicating so you're not, making room for confusion, but you're making room for clarity and seeking to actually hear people out because, things that we can both learn from one another and things that I can learn on how to better myself and things that you can learn how to better yourself and how we can apply that in our own lives and moving forward and how to deal with things in the future. So it's me learning that. Okay, guys, we made it to June, halfway through the year. And I'm just gonna again, rapid fire, go through some of the points in June and where I need to expand. I'll expand. When you are giving something to God, are you giving it in totality or partiality? And so that was really a question I had to ask myself. Am I giving partial parts of myself to God, or am I giving Him all of me? The next point is some things take more time because as time increases, the quality increases. Learning to value and appreciate being in a season of waiting. And so when we think about it, like why do doctors go to school for so long? The more time, the more experience they have. And so when we think about things like that, it's like the more time that you have for things, like the more time that it has to increase in quality and in maturity, and you get a better version of it than you would have if you got it prematurely. Obedience to God is not a limitation, but a liberation. It didn't get easier. You're just more equipped to handle the workload. Don't compromise your faith to make man comfortable. You can't go into every battle with the same strategy, right? For this one, it was like, I expanded on it a little bit. I was like, you can encounter the same enemy again, but the way you defeated them before can be ineffective this time because they will not come to you the way they did before. The enemy is cunning, so they will have a new strategy. Therefore, you must have one as well. Period. Like that. Chef's kiss. I cannot show up as my optimal self to others if I'm not in an optimal relationship with God. Not all boundaries are healthy or good for you. What determines a healthy boundary is the place it operates from. And so me having to really understand that actually is my boundary operating from a place of trauma? Because if I'm setting this boundary and it's stemming from a place of trauma, it's actually doing more harm for me than good. You don't want yes men in your life. You want yes God in your life. The power of presence. I really, with time and as I get older, just really valuing being able to show up for other people and people showing up for me. Like, presence is so powerful. Like, you don't have to say anything, but the fact that you're here and you made the time and space to be here, that actually speaks so much more volume than you think. So me trying to be present in any way that I can, even if it's not physically present, what way can I be present for the people in my life? Your circumstances don't have to change, but that doesn't mean God changed his mind. That was actually from Travis Green when he came to my church. So he ate with that. Pray without ceasing because God listens and answers without ceasing. That, if you needed motivation to get back into your prayer closet, that one was it. God is not derailed by your brokenness, but propelled by it. God's response to brokenness is wholeness. And that was actually something I wrote down after reading Isaiah chapter 1, verse 18. So I'm going to get into it. God isn't linear, so neither can his ministry be linear. Period. I kind of like the spitfire and just kind of like expanding on it. Bear with me, guys. Again, like I said at the beginning, like this episode is very like unhinged. Like, we're just gonna kind of go with the flow. I'm gonna try to make it as organized as possible for all my note takers, but I really just this is just me like sharing, me just dumping with you guys. Like, really, I hope that this is so insightful in helping you guys. Because even as I'm going through these, I'm just being reminded of one, how faithful and good God has been to me throughout this whole entire year and helping me grow and mature and learn all the more, because these lessons have not been easy to take and apply into my life, but they are good. Gonna keep going and sharing that with you guys. This point says, be more quick to give grace than to give up, and be more quick to go through a breakthrough than a breakup. God will keep on pursuing you even when it seems like there's nothing left to pursue. The one for you is Jesus Christ. That came from me keeping like hearing videos and like TikTok videos where people are like, oh, when you're waiting for the one for you is Jesus. A man is not the one for you, okay? He's not going to be the one to complete you. He's not going to be the one to better you. He's not going to be the one to mature you. Like, it's not going to come from you getting in a relationship with another person. They are not the one for you. They are a helper. They are an addition. They are meant to increase and better your life, but they're not going to be the one to complete it. They're not going to be the one to make you whole. He is not the one, boo. Stop. Next. It's okay to be misunderstood by others as long as you understood the assignment. The devil isn't concerned with people who are spiritually dead. It's those who are spiritually alive. The cost of vulnerability is the omission of authenticity. Sarah J. Roberts right there, guys. It's easy to detach myself if I cannot identify myself in it. Seek to serve, not be served. What if you needed that loss to create space for you to gain? Without context, you are vulnerable to misinterpretation. Wow. Identify the tools in your life that God has equipped you with that are multi-purpose. Some tools can be used in more than one way. Even if you're in captivity, the Lord always keeps his covenant. Cravings can lead us to confuse wants with needs. Cravings are tied/influenced by circumstance. Example, a pregnant woman often craves things that are uncharacteristic and underserving in any other circumstance besides pregnancy. Jesus' perfection paved the way for my progression. It's easier to deflect than to reflect. Okay, month of September. Let's go. Truth is good, not painless. Faith has a cause and effect. When faith is your cause, you will see the effect of God's will in your life. God is not going to give you unfinished products. I'm going to expand with this point here, guys. So there are some things that you cannot receive yet because your response will be different if you receive them prematurely. And the analogy I wrote down here is someone gifts you a bike, but it has flat tires. You're going to take the free bike, but now you have to fill the wheels up with air or it'll be of no use to you. You will probably say thanks, but be like, it would have been better if the tires were already filled. Versus If you received it with the tires filled already, your response will be different. You would appreciate it more because finished products have a higher value. Unfinished products cannot fulfill their purpose. Faith requires action from God and you. What do your actions say about your faith? This point came from me thinking about WWE. I actually loved WWE so much growing up. Like, I used to watch that all the time. WrestleMania. Jesus always taps in, but never taps out. And so if you guys watched WWE growing up, like I did, you know how they used to have the tag team matches and like they'll tag in their partner, right? The thing is, like, let's say we're like in the ring, right? We're wrestling, right? We're wrestling with our problems, anxiety, depression, whatever it may be, right? You're wrestling and then you're getting tired and you're like, oh, I need to tap out. So you tap Jesus in, right? You're like, he stretches out his hand to you, you tap him in. And the thing is, though, Jesus never gets tired, right? He doesn't tap you right back in. Not only is he now the one wrestling, but he's also going to be the one to finish the wrestle for you. Like, that's where that point came from. So Jesus always taps in, but never taps out, period. Work hard and pray harder. The more self-aware you are of your blind spots, so the more self-aware you become, the better driver you are, the better partner, friend, self, most importantly, servant to God. So that might have been confusing, but let me explain a little bit. Like, how I see me becoming more self-aware as a person is like correlating that to us having blind spots when we're driving. And like when you're more aware of your blind spots, it actually makes you a better driver. You're more safer on the road. And so when we become more self-aware as individuals, we become better partners, better friends, a better self, and most importantly, a better servant to God, right? And just like we can't see 100% of our blind spots, right? It doesn't matter how good of a driver you are, right? It doesn't matter how many like upgrades you do to your car. You're never going to be 100% aware of your blind spots. So you can never be 100% self-aware, but for the 95%, you're responsible to protect yourself and others on the road. So you are also responsible of the 95% of you that you're able to become aware of. We all have the same destination, but are running different races. Here's the example I gave for that one. I wrote down, think how there are different ways to reach Florida. You can take straight down Highway 95, maybe a couple back roads, might be some detours. You can also take the train or you can take a plane instead. There are several ways to meet your destination of Florida. Fun fact, I've actually never been to Florida. And even different means of transportation. Everyone has different preferences, and some ways take longer than others, but as long as you make it to Florida, then the journey there is worth it. If God gives you hard things, it's not to break you, but to build you up. Know that if something breaks in the process, it means that something is also being built in the process. And in fact, what broke needed to break because it would have been an obstacle to what is being built. Next point, the reason we have to continuously check our heart posture is because it's not natural for our hearts to posture itself in righteousness. Guys, why am I about to cry right now? Like, these points are actually really reaching somewhere deep in my soul. For a person to develop perfect posture, it takes years and years of training until they get to a point where they straighten up. Having their shoulders pushed back, head facing forward, becomes natural to them versus slouching. During that process of developing perfect posture, you have to become good at identifying when you're slouching so that you can correct your posture. You have to identify triggers to you slouching, like when you sit in a comfy chair or sitting on your bed. The quicker you identify the areas where it's easier to slouch, the quicker you are to straighten and fix your posture. And with time, if you are intentional, it's not only the identifying, but the correcting as well. It will become natural to you. And that was all in me, like correlating that back to the point of the reason we have to continuously check our heart posture is because it's not natural for our heart to posture itself in righteousness. But when we're intentional about identifying when our hearts are not in righteousness, right, and correcting it, it will become more natural to us as time goes on. Feel your feelings, but live out your faith. Tone can cause people to misinterpret your heart. Philip Anthony Mitchell right there, guys. When he said that, I said, oh, jot that down. tone can cause people to misinterpret your heart. Wow. A narrow door is better than a shut door. Thank you, God, for the narrow doors, because at least they're not shut. Whoa! Praise dance right there. Hoping and trusting in God is an active choice, requires intentional shift of one's focus on the goodness of God's character when their circumstances are difficult. My circumstances can limit me, but they cannot limit God. Period. Drop the mic. There is no what ifs with God, only will. God is not someone who's like, oh, what if I do this or what if I do that? He's like, I will do this and I will do that and it will happen. And this next point was really God checking me when it came to me starting this podcast. And I came to him, I was like, God, but I'm not popular or nothing. And he said, write this down. You don't have to be an influencer to have influence. Peep this, guys. Everyone around you, you are influencing. Look at sociology, the bystander effects. Like your family, your friends, they are watching you. They have you in their lives. And when you are in a relationship with someone, and that can be an enemy, this person could be a stranger to you, you still have a level of influence in their life. So yeah, you don't need to have 1,000 or 1,000,000 followers to be influential, because every day, the fact that you're engaging in life and with people, you have an influence. Now, what kind of influence you have is also important, but we're not going to get into that. Don't change who you are because it makes another person uncomfortable with themselves. Again, lessons learned by a former people pleaser. Ooh, if it's not for you, the only other option it has is to be against you. Vulnerability is attractive to people who want it for themselves and disruptive to people still trying to hide themselves. Oh. Like I said, guys, these points be reading me to filth. Okay, they be checking me. Like I said, having me sat at the feet of the Lord. This is just a pit stop. At every pit stop, God reveals to you its purpose, and he can also position you to fulfill it. When I wrote this point down, it was again, because guys, like, I'm graduating next year and I'm like, God, where do I go next? Where do I apply? What's going on? And God was like, this is just a pit stop. And when you think about it, pit stops, it's usually where people stop off on the side of the road to fill up the gas, get food. Sometimes there's like a place to stay there, so they might stay there for a couple of days just to get some rest before they go back on the road. Like, my final destination is actually heaven. So what I'm experiencing throughout my lifetime of life is pit stops. Some pit stops I'm going to stay out longer than others, but eventually I'm going to have to get back on the road. Some pit stops, I'm fueling up, I'm getting food. Some pit stops I'm there to get rest. And each pit stop has a different purpose and I'm being positioned to fulfill it. But then after that, I had to continue on in my journey, right? That pit stop is only aiding in my continuation of my journey to my final destination, which is heaven. That was good. Okay. Maybe it's not God deliver me, but maybe it's God sustain me. Like, not every hard thing we face, we need to be delivered from. Hardships also work for our good too. Like, that might be an unpopular opinion. I don't know. I don't know about you, but God doesn't withhold good things from me, and neither does he hold bad things over me. Drop it. Drop the mic. I need to get out of here. I need to run. Like, what? God doesn't withhold good things from me, and neither does he hold bad things over me. Guys, I was really trying to keep it cute and classy for this episode and not get out of control, and really try to keep my reactions and my unhingedness in check. And I failed at that. You know what? It's okay. Oh, this one was so good at this point. I recently just learned it. Like, Lord, let me fix my eyes on you so I don't miss the good you're about to do. Because when my eyes are out of focus, when my eyes aren't fixed on the Lord, I'm missing the miracles and blessings that are actively being done in my life. But when my eyes are fixed on him, there's no way I can miss the good things he's doing. I don't want to miss good things being done in my life. I want to witness it. So Lord, help me fix my eyes on you. Jesus didn't come to speak a word. He came to fulfill a word. Therefore, maybe instead of looking for someone to speak a word, look for the fulfillment of the word that has already been spoken. And that's where we're going to end, guys. I don't even know what to say. I mean, we just went through all these incredible, tough, insightful lessons that I've learned through 2024. And I hope that it wasn't too chaotic for you guys and me just diving into all of that. Life at times is chaotic, but in it, I'm just reminding of God's goodness to me and faithfulness when He allows me to have moments and periods where I can reflect and actually be able to receive and understand like what is currently happening in this process. Who am I becoming in this process? How are things shaping and looking out in this process? And then how do I move forward? And so I really hope in this episode, guys, and let me know if you guys want me to do this again, if you would love for me to just continue like every once in a while, just sharing the things that I'm learning and that God is showing me, because best believe I'm doing this again in 2025. But if any of those resonated with you guys, if any of you guys felt really connected to it, if any of you like note takers were like, yup, that point right there, that one was for me. Because, I'm sharing with all of this with you guys because I do hope that it wasn't just for me, but also for you, right? That I was also able to help you and aid you. That I was also able to provide you insight and bless you and, provide that perspective shift and open up your eyes and bring you one step closer to understanding yourself and things are happening more and make you more hopeful in life, right? Make you more willing to engage and overcome the difficulties of life, and rejoice and be glad in all the goodness of life too, and the things that we experience in life, and how beautiful it is to be a surrendered student, to be someone who is constantly seeking to learn more and constantly seeking to grow. And so I really hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. I really loved and enjoy sharing these lessons with you guys, all the things that I learned. And I definitely hope to see you guys again next week. I hope that I didn't scare you away. But again, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you being here, being in this space with me. And I will see you guys again next week for another episode. And that was another episode of the Still Learning Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me here. I really hope that you enjoy that episode. And please, if you do, go ahead and share. Let me know your thoughts. Rate this episode. Let me know you want more episodes like that in the future. Let me share this with any loved ones or anyone in your life who you definitely think can need some application of those lessons in their own life and will definitely benefit from hearing them. But I'm so grateful that you were here, and I look forward to being back here again with you next week. Bye.